What's up everybody, welcome back to Tow Game Masters. Today we're going to be relocating our power steering reservoir to behind the headlight area to create a little bit more room near the turbo. This is the replacement power steering reservoir that I purchased off of eBay. It was about $30 and it's made of aluminum. It came with brackets as well as a few worm clamps. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the three 10mm bolts holding the old power steering reservoir. Next we're going to remove the worm clamps off of the power steering lines to remove the reservoir. Make sure to grab some towels as there's going to be a lot of fluid leaking everywhere. I also removed the worm clamp on the power steering pump to remove the entire line with the reservoir. With the old power steering reservoir removed, we're going to go ahead and mock up the new one right behind the headlights. You can use 5/8 power steering lines, or you can use a -10 AN hose like I'm using here. The reservoir is just secured on there by that 110mm. With the new reservoir mounted, we're going to go ahead and use some painter's tape to mark where we need a cut on the -10 AN hose that I'm using here to make sure it reaches the power steering pump. Note that the hose connection on the power steering pump can be flipped around so it's pointed forwards towards the radiator, and this is held on by two T27 Torx bits. I've done this ahead of time, so you may want to do this as well to create some clearance, otherwise the hose may kink. Now I'm just using the angle grinder to cut off the excess on the hose. Also remember to clean out the hose with an air compressor. With the hose cleaned up, we're going to go ahead and put one end of the hose onto the reservoir and tighten up the worm clamp here. That way it'll be easier to install when it's on the car. Now we're going to hook up the return line to the other side of the new reservoir, and we're going to put on a worm clamp here and tighten that down onto the reservoir. With both of the hoses connected to the reservoir, we can go ahead and mount the reservoir to its final location, which is behind the headlights with the 10mm. The reservoir in place, we can now hook up the final end of the reservoir line to the power steering pump. Note that I reversed the power steering reservoir inlet to face the radiator, and this is done using a T27 Torx bit, and there's an O-ring in there as well, so make sure you change that so you don't have any leaks moving forward. Now we need to fill up the reservoir with some automatic transmission fluid. Once you top off the reservoir, you can go ahead and start the car, and you're going to be turning the wheel full lock to the left and right a few times until you bleed out all the air bubbles. You may also need to check the reservoir and top it off. And that's how you relocate your power steering reservoir to behind the headlights. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.